Biden is in Angola to push the rail project that would transport Congolese minerals to counter Beijing. Before I go any further, let's think about what is happening specifically in the Congo because of those minerals. The project would connect the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Zambia to Angola's Port Lobito, allowing the U.S. to exploit the region's vast minerals, resources including copper and cobalt. For the people in the back, just so we clear, when we talk about the G-side that's happening in the Congo, it's happening because of those minerals. So when we recognize the United States federal government is literally trying to help extract those minerals, they're also perpetuating the G-side in the Congo. Historically speaking, the ongoing plundering of resources from the DRC by the U.S. and Europe has led to decades of devastating war, poverty, and environmental degradation. This damn near exemplifies how there are no underdeveloped countries in Africa, they're only overexploited. In college, I read this book about how Europe is underdeveloped in Africa by Walter Rodney, and oh, it was a great one. Within this book, Walter Rodney gets in how the dependence theory of Europe being able to create stability for themselves out of expensive instability for Africa, oh, it's done with the resources. Biden's choice of Angola is significant. He is the first United States president to visit the country, signaling dramatic improvement between the relations of the two nations. But literally, those relations being improved is going to lead to exploitation of a lot of Angolan people and Congolese people. And literally, hold on, I want y'all to see the construction of this video. Once completed, the corridor will help transport those important minerals from resource-rich heart of Africa across to Europe and the U.S. And on my pawpaw grave, this the reason why they so fearful of this man right here, Ibrahim of Burkina Faso, because that's what he's trying to do. Make sure all the resources stay to him and his people and stop literally lining the pockets of European corporations. Which takes me back to Angola, because when I was in South Africa, what I learned is that the Dutch was literally taking Angolan enslaved people and taking them to South Africa to be able to build it up specifically in Cape Town. I also know here in the Americas, in Louisiana, we got the Angolan prison, the penitentiary, you know what I'm saying? It shows me that the Western world has always viewed the Angolan people as standing reserve for resources, standing reserve for labor. And we see in 2024 what they're trying to do. Angola is still key to the exploitation of Africa. It really shows me I have to do me a deep dive on Angolan history because something is going on with the country and the legacy and the heritage, and I want to know what the Europeans see in the Angolans to make them always do this for like 500 years. Y'all know my motto, research over me, search and listen to this. Apart from oil, Angola is also rich in minerals, including cobalt and lithium, which are essential for making batteries for electric vehicles. So as the world becomes more dependent on electric vehicles and artificial intelligence, how much cobalt and lithium is needed and how much African blood must be spilled for you to get that out the ground? With the global focus moving more towards greener energy, including electric vehicles, the mines of Central Africa will become more and more attractive. The American shift to invest in infrastructure in the region comes therefore no surprise. Speaking of surprises, I wasn't caught off guard to learn that China, America, and a bunch of European countries is having a musical chair competition on who can extract the most African resources. Here's the fact right here. China already controls up to 80% of copper mines in the Democratic Congo, one of the world's largest producers of the mineral. Which takes me back to this book by Walter Rodney. The entire global north is implicated in this, the entire Western world, you feel me? When it comes to Africa, according to Rodney, exploiting its natural resources like rubber and minerals through brutal colonial practices, extracting wealth without reinvesting in the local community, and suppressing indigenous development to maintain their control, essentially prioritizes their own economic growth at the expense of African development. Think about it. Foreign entities like America and China are trying to build a railway to be able to transport minerals from one side of the continent to the other side of the continent. Meanwhile, no Africans can be benefiting from that except for the hand cherry-picked puppets that the Western world loves. You feel me? Education is elevation. We got to stay on what I'm saying. Hey. Really shows me I have to do me a deep dive on Angolan history because something is going on with the country and the legacy.
Very interesting discussion here because Angola is one of only 2 African countries that were used as penal colonies, meaning unlike the Spanish or the French or the British who colonized Africa in a bid to expand empire, in a bid to conquer and subjugate indigenous people, what the Portuguese did with Angola and Mozambique is that they used Angola and Mozambique as prisons. They sent their convicts to Angola and Mozambique. They sent their worst, they sent their political dissenters, they sent the people who could not fit into civilized Portuguese society. All of those people were shipped off to Angola. So then you take that colonial history of the Central African country of Angola and connect it to the fact that in the US, the largest maximum security prison is also called Angola. The Louisiana State Penitentiary is known as Angola Prison. There's a plantation over there called Angola Plantation upon which this prison has been built. And so these connections are deep and they are insidious. Angola prison in Louisiana, we know obviously disproportionately affects the black community because of the U.S. injustice system. And so we have this Angola in Central Africa and this other Angola, the largest maximum security prison in the United States and in the world, I believe. And so instead of engaging in diaspora wars, let's have these discussions and engage in solutions, because our connections as black people of the diaspora, they are deep.
I just watched a Congolese man set himself on fire in hopes to get media attention, and that we'll see him on fire on these phones that's literally facilitating the suffering of Congolese people. Think about how sick and tired and how desperate and anguished you gotta be to set yourself on fire in hopes that it will create media attention about what's happening to your people. When I learned about King Leopold, or I learned about Patrice Lumumba, you feel me? I learned about, you know what I'm saying, all these broken treaties and all these foreign entities that then switched and did Congo like musical chairs. It really made me think, like, damn, this is how slavery was really facilitated for my people right here. Right now in the Congo, they experiencing slavery. I watched this video of two 4-year-old little girls in the rain with no shoes, having to go fetch materials to literally mine cobalt, you know what I'm saying, coltan out of the ground. This man set himself on fire in hopes that it would create media attention. And I believe that all of us should be making videos about this, definitely. Make sure this was not done, you feel me, in a way that don't, like, come on, man, like, shit, this shit crazy.
Anti-Blackness and colorism plays a huge role on why a lot of people aren't talking about Congo, Sudan, Somalia, Ethiopia, Haiti, and other predominantly black countries. Black people are not seen as valuable, and our blackness is placed at the bottom of humanity. Some could even argue that in many instances, our blackness is defined in opposition to how we identify humanity. Especially when we start thinking about the ways that we justify exploitation. When you're able to masterfully mark a community as being inherently exposable and disposable, ain't nobody gonna bat an eye when you start exterminating them and disposing them to foolishness and nonsense. Here's a world map that illustrates Western media when tragedy hits. And as you see in the black right there, literally no one cares. You see how it is always already marked as being unstable? You feel me? This right here is like, hey man, people in Africa, it's war ridden. They always dealing with instability, man. Didn't they sell you into slavery anyway, man? Them folks is backwards. You see right here in the brown, hopeless situation, just pray. And while they doing it, they stealing all the resources. We see here in the yellow, maybe some could argue nobody wants to be sad all day, but really nobody really care about the indigenous folks in South America or the indigenous folks over there in this area right here, Russia/Asia. In the green though, that's undebatable, 24-hour coverage. You see what I'm saying? I'm talking about celebrity images, somebody farted, you feel me? Some random person went missing. Everybody care about this right here. But you see right there in the black, Congo, oh yeah, Haiti over here somewhere. I would argue that this middle passage, this little Caribbean area, the only reason why it's yellow is because a lot of folks have their favorite resorts, their favorite vacation spots over there. But nonetheless, colorism and anti-blackness are global phenomenons that really impact how we understand international relations, and is usually able to justify anti-blackness in a way they're able to rationalize with colonial violence and imperialist propaganda that pushes imperialism and stealing and taking all the people and the resources from this little region right here, man. Free the whole continent of Africa, man.